Hi! It's actually vacation recap time. I have been known to do these with everyone that has been involved, more or less. However, there was 4 of us that went on this vacation, and it was a little hard to track down some of them. So it is just me going to recap my personal experience for the 2025 Ocean City, Maryland vacation. So, we were there, technically, only 3 full days. Womp womp, I know. But that is the best time frame that we could get for everyone involved because we really wanted to take our friends Dee and Denise with us. Usually it's just me and Tiffany, but we opted to take some other people because at that point in time when we were planning this, my van was janky. And if you've seen the recap, you know that we did get eventually a new van, but we had already planned to have Dee drive us down because she's also the one that has the Easy Pass and I don't. So that was the plan. It was great up until she had to potentially change the date like a week out because she needed a heart ablation. Now, thankfully, the lovely people at Holiday Inn are like, sure, we're not technically supposed to do this, but the manager approved it. Let's change it back. Not even half an hour later, she calls and we're like, oh yeah, well, the doctor said that I can actually go. So if you give me the number, I'll call them and we'll sort it out. So we got put back to the original October date, and we didn't have to try and change it to the week prior. So we got put back, which was wonderful. I have only my food breakdown and my day breakdown. I don't have what I wore. I don't have what I bought. That kind of thing. So the original plan for the ride down was to have some IHOP. We were going to have IHOP, and then we were going to maybe stop at Walmart and pick up dinner there. Or just make dinner at the hotel because we did have a little kitchenette. Well, that plan didn't go to plan. We actually got McDonald's because some of us weren't feeling all that well, and we didn't have time, technically, to just have a sit down. So we got McDonald's. That was right at the beginning of Monopoly, which is fun. So we all got a Monopoly thing, which was great. Nothing fancy about that. We did check into our hotel practically on time, though they did start charging for parking, which when we were there before, that was not a thing. So unfortunately, I didn't have the money on my card, and Dee had to step up, and we eventually paid her back. We explored Walmart. We did actually get to go to Walmart, which was nice. But then we ended up going to Bull on the Beach for dinner, which was a place that we had went the 3rd trip that we went with the woman that shall not be named. But I got a hot turkey sandwich and some water. It obviously came with fries. It was like $15. I gave him a $20 because that covered tip. And then we spent the rest of the time pretty much in the pool, which was lovely. Now, I will say, our hotel, we were on the 2nd level, and the door right under us led right out to the outside. So we could hear everything that was going on. People coming in, people going out, people hanging out in the hot tub, people hanging out by the fire pits. If you were outside, we could hear you coming in and leaving, provided you took that door. There was like 3 other entrances that you could take, but if you took that one, we could hear you. Which was wonderful in a way, but also terrible in a way. Especially when you have rowdy people by the fire pit. And that did happen at some point. So, day 2 was the beach, Candy Planet, and the boardwalk. Now, this is where things got a little bit iffy. Originally, we were all supposed to go, but lovely Dee did not want to go. She didn't want to walk it, which is fair. She doesn't get around all that well. We ended up taking her vehicle and had to go back to Walmart to load my card because they now charge parking even in October. They do not count October as off-season anymore. But we still went to the boardwalk. We hung out. We went to Ripley's, the arcade, and that was wonderful. We went to Professor Hacker's Lost Treasure mini golf, and we did the gold course. Now, that was the very first time that we went to Professor Hacker's. I'd like to go again. It was very, very nice. I don't know why we never went before, but it was very lovely. We had considered going to Old Pro, but we wanted something new, because the one that we originally was going to, unfortunately, got turned into a Christmas one. And while I would have been all for it, Bessie didn't want to do it. Which, you know what? Fair. You do you. Pop off, queen. We ended up going to Professor Hacker's. We still ended up getting our mini golf balls, which was a tradition. One of the only ones that we actually got to keep. But, you know, whatever. I don't care at this point. We did still get to go to Dumpsters, which is one of our favorite places. I got chicken tenders and an orange ice cream cone soda. I spent roughly $35 there. Honestly, probably a little less, because I think the chicken was like $15, and I don't think that the orange cream soda was that much. I think it might have been like $8 or $10, but I also put down tips, so who knows, maybe I did actually spend the $35 like I wrote down here. We spent a lot of time in the pool and the hot tub. We actually started our day in the hot tub that day, and Denise, who was in the other room beside us with Dee, looked out the window and saw us just hanging out in the hot tub like at 8-9 a.m. in the morning. No one else was around us, and she looked over and we're just waving at her like, hi, and then she disappears back in the room, and I'm like, do you think that she was concerned that we are her monkeys and this is actually her circus? It went well. It was very nice. We didn't go to the fire pit that night because there was too many people, and they were very, very loud, probably drunk, and singing a lot that night. It was a nightmare, but it was something that I probably won't forget. The final day that we were there fully was day 3, and this was a day that it rained a lot in the morning, so we didn't get to do what we truly wanted to do for a good while, and the pool was having maintenance. So while Bessie was waiting at the pool, I'm like, okay, cool, bet. I'm just gonna go out to the beach. I'm in my swimsuit, I got my towel, I can just get in that water for a little bit. So I go down to the beach on my own, set down my bag, set down my towel, set down my purse, my phone, my shoes, and I go down to the water, try and find a little bit of shells, and just see what the temperature is like, you know? There's like maybe 3 other people on the beach at this hour. One of them is a man fishing with his kid, and another gentleman who spoke very broken English. And I don't know if you know me, but I have issues hearing very well. When I was a kid, I had issues that made my hearing on both sides kind of janky, especially my left. Usually, Bestie is my ears, which is fine because usually I'm her eyes. But she wasn't there. And when I saw him just kind of lingering by my stuff, I'm like, okay, this is weird. Hopefully he's not trying to steal anything. So I go back to pick up my stuff, and he starts to strike up this conversation with me about, hey, you know, we're staying at the same hotel, me and my wife. I looked, I didn't see a ring on his hand, which was red flag number 2 after him just lingering by my stuff. And he kept trying to talk to me and he wanted to know, you know, how long are we staying? Were you the one that drove? And this, that, and the other. And I'm getting freaked out. So I have all of my stuff. I do one tiny quick search for the shells because that's what I said I was doing. And then I bolted as best as I could in the terrible sand to get back to the hotel. Dee and Denise were sitting on their balcony, and I quickly explain everything while I dart down to where Bestie is waiting at the pool. And then we go back up, and we don't come down for a while. I don't want to say that I was shaken, but being a woman, practically alone on the beach in a swimsuit with a shifty guy, I didn't like that very much. so I got out of Dodge as quickly as possible. We did go to the Wild Horse Island. We went to the beach. We didn't do the, like, trails. We didn't see hardly any horses. I think we saw, like, maybe 2. But we got a lot of shells that day. We went to Alley Oops, which is a bowling alley and arcade. We did miss the live shark feeding, unfortunately. But Bestie and I stayed while the other 2 were supposed to go and get seafood. They didn't actually. They ended up getting just food that they made themselves. We ended up walking back from Alley Oops to our hotel, which was about a mile. And we ended up having Touch of Italy, which is the restaurant that's in the hotel. I had a fettuccine chicken Alfredo sandwich with some Sprite, which cost me about $30 after tip. And then our final day was checkout. We didn't get to go in the hot tub because unfortunately they closed that day. But we did have breakfast at Touch of Italy, which was a build-your-own breakfast. After tip and all that, it came out to about $15. We drove home, unloaded, I hauled everything, put everything in the room, and kind of face-planted in my lovely, renovated, beautiful room. And I would love to go back. For the most part, we spent a lot of time on the beach. Granted, the next one in the queue that I'd like to go to is actually Erie. If I can go to Erie, it's not a very, very long trip to go to Niagara Falls. So maybe in the future. Who knows? But thank you so much for hanging out with me as I recap this year. Goodbye.